This is my father's first cousin.
Dorothy Felix and her family have lived in the tiny town of Mossville, Louisiana, for 7 generations, but she fears she'll be the last. She says contaminated air and water is slowly killing the residents of Mossville.
The dioxin in the blood levels of those residents was elevated 3 times that of the United States population.
Dioxin is a known carcinogen. Felix and others blame the more than a dozen chemical plants their state government has allowed to move into Mossville for contaminating their community. Most of the 500 residents living here are African American.
Born and raised right here in Mossville.
At a town hall, residents shared stories of suffering and accused the chemical plant owners of what they call environmental racism.
I am tired of people taking advantage of our small African American communities and minority communities. Why they can't give us, keep our air clean, clean water.
I've seen people die, you know. I'm afraid of that. I don't want to have to sleep in it. I worked in it, but I knew where I was, but I could have to sleep with a gas mask on.
State officials deny the plants pose a health threat. And even though Louisiana government research shows there would be a rise in toxic emissions into the air, the state's governor recently approved a plan to allow the South African petrochemical giant Sasol to build one of the biggest chemical plants in the Western Hemisphere in Mossville. The new chemical plant is expected to spew millions of tons of greenhouse gases into the community. But Sasol says it's not a bad neighbor. In fact, it may be a generous one. It's offering to buy up some, but not all of the homes that will surround its new plant. State officials also say residents shouldn't live in fear as toxic emissions rarely escape.
The data that I've accumulated since the late 70s demonstrates how frequently it crosses a fence line and goes into the community. And the bottom line is they just seem to ignore it.
So Dorothy Felix and others are now demanding the state provide a toxicology clinic to residents free of charge.
So that the health of these residents could be monitored, they could be tested for other chemicals that might be present in their bloodstreams, so that they will have an idea of what their health problems are, what they're suffering from, what their families are dying from.
They say science is on their side, even if politics right now are not. Kimberly, Halkett, Al Jazeera, Mossville, Louisiana.